to dismantle the Republican Party. And the time it's actually a funny story. The time that I did that, there was actually a couple of Republicans on the other side of the chamber. I guess some Republican congressman was taking them around. And they looked at me like, and I was like, I said what I said.
You know that listen, I know you're gonna guarantee yourself a house seat. I'm not worried about your district because your district is uncompetitive. So no one cares about your district. Your district is uncompetitive, so we don't care about the district. Really, we don't. I mean, we know that Houston area, that area is all Democratic anyway. So what's the point of campaigning Republicans there? What is the point?
Chad, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about how you are failing. How you, not you, but your party in general, is just failing. All of you are failing. I mean, Larry Trump went to Capitol Hill today. He talked with the House Republicans, and I think we got them foot lockstep with a big deal.
See, this is why I'm needed in Congress, man. Because if I was there, I would have said, "Hey, Trump, I'm coming for you. I got my impeachment suit ready for you, Trump. So you better be ready." That's what I would have told him. I would have said, "Trump, I'm coming."
That's a threat against the U.S. president.
Take it how you will.
No, it is. I mean, like, you can't do that to him.
Watch.
You can't do that to him. It's unbearable. You can't just say that to him.
So I can't.
No,
okay.
What do you think about What do you think about James Comey's recent post on 47?
I think it was great.
Wow, that's rich.
Yeah.
I know.
You want to report me to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel? You want to do that?
I don't do that, bro. I don't do that. You get your other little people that like to.
He said the same thing about Biden.
Who?
Jack Posobiec.
Who's that?
So.
And you know what the thing about Comey is that he's a Republican too.
Didn't Donald Trump go and post an image of Joe Biden being hung?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. So I don't really give a shit about Trump's supporter or Trump's opinion. I don't really care.
Well, you think that James Comey was okay for posting that?
Yes.
Oh, no. That's why he got interviewed by Secret Service.
Who gives a shit? Are they going to charge him?
No, they probably are.
No, then do it. Then do it. I hope they do.
I hope they do, too.
And he's going to beat the hell out of him. That's what's going to happen.
I don't think he is, because I think Democrats are...
What I will say is, I see that they're going after Monica McIver, a great congresswoman from New Jersey.
McIver, yes.
McIver, you know what? She's a great patriot. You know what?
Take McIver to jail.
Oh, you know what?
She just went to jail time.
Let me tell you something. You better be ready.
What do you want to tell me?
Because you Republicans think that you're going to be in office forever. You do.
You are.
But you better realize that there's going to be a time in which you're not. And I tell you what, I'm a different kind of Democrat. And I don't have a forgetful memory like others do. You know how a lot of times when Democrats win, they go and they say, with the Republicans, so I'm not of that persuasion. So the real thing that you guys better be asking yourselves is how far you want us to respond. Every can of worms you open is another one that we have to open on.
I know that if you do, and I know you're going to go crazy on your watch party speech.
Oh, of course. I've got a lot of people to go after. I've got to go after the do-nothing Republicans. I've got to go after the nose-up establishment. I'm going to go after all of them to say that it was thousands of people on TikTok that took them all out because we believe in this country and we're ready to go and take it back and win for the people for once.
So you're telling me you're going to go crazy. I know you're going to go crazy on your speech.
Of course I am.
I know you are, because you're gonna go bonkers. You're gonna just keep going and going and going until you run out of breath air. Because I know you, and I know you're gonna probably go to DC the next day, aren't you?
Of course I am. I'm going to go to Mike Johnson's office and I'm going to tell him to swear me in now so I can get this work started.
You know you have to do a photo op with him, and then he takes you on the floor and he does a traditional way.
He can do whatever he wants. I'll be wearing tan.
And then you. Oh my God! Don't do that. Come on, wear like a nice black suit or something.
I'll be in DC the next day.
Oh my God! Stay out of DC. We don't need more Democrats like you.
Oh yes, it's coming, Trad. It's coming.
You don't need
the tan suit is coming. The impeachment suit is ready. I still haven't decided what tie I'm going to wear yet, but it's coming.
I think that you need to chill with the impeachment because that's not going anywhere.
Oh, okay. Hey,
that's not going anywhere.
The tan suit is coming.
You're going to make me crash out. I'm not going to lie.
I know. But like I said, Trad, it's coming. And by the way, all 900 folks, man, we're all you guys are all invited. I need you guys there, especially if you guys live in the DMV area. I need you guys to be there, and this is going to be great. Because, like I said, every single thing that you guys do, I've got a big list, Trad. And remember that when we're on the other side of the foot, we will not be taking any ounce of mercy. So be very careful.
Oh, we know this one going.
Abba?
Sure.
She's a U.S. attorney for New Jersey. What are you talking about? She's in charge of all the. She's the one that gives out the charges. She's not the one that goes into jail. Like, what are you talking about?
We'll see about that.
And then you got Judge Jeanine Pirro of D.C. That's another good one. Listen, Trump has put in good judges, great attorneys in. And I think that we continue with the attorneys list. Like, literally, I think that you need to stop because McCliver is going to jail because you know what she did. She did a lot of things that she wasn't supposed to do. She literally attacked people. She literally did things in that crowd that she was not supposed to do. I'm sitting member of Congress doing stuff that she is not supposed to do. She did it anyway because she thinks she's bad and she thinks she knows what she's doing. So what is the point of McCleaver? She's going to jail for her crimes that she did. If she didn't do that, I don't think Alina Habba will have a choice. Wouldn't do that.
LaMonica, wait a second. LaMonica, stand back and stand by. You did a great job. You did a great job, LaMonica. Help is on the way. And trust me when I tell you, Republicans will not like what we will do to them afterwards.
You ain't gonna do nothing. That's the problem. I'm gonna do stuff.
Oh yeah?
No,
Yeah?
no. You guys are a joke. Your party's a joke. You're gonna be Mr. Big and Tough Congressman up in there. I'm Mr. Isaiah Martin for Congress, and I declare war against the Republican Party. BS. You ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do nothing.
Yes, indeed. Cloud.
You suck. Your party sucks at covering everything they do. There's nothing going to happen. That's why
we got another crash out. We got another crash out for the night.
That's why Trump is with you.
And he crashed. Got a great crash out. Guys, thank you so much, June, so much for the $10 for our campaign. Thank you, Linda, for the $18 for our campaign. Guys, we're literally about $120 away from hitting our campaign goal for the night. I'm sorry, wait, I'm wrong. $150 away from hitting our campaign goal for the night. Guys, anything you guys can do to chip into the campaign really does help. Seriously, we're going to beat them so bad. We're going to make them like it. It's going to be great. Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up, buddy? How you been?
Pretty good. What's going down?
Oh, just on my midnight walk. You know how things are.
Yeah, I feel you. That's good.
Hi. So you are now. It sounds like from what you said, you're the front runner. I haven't seen the polls, but if you're the front runner, keep it up. Good work on that.
Thank you.
I now have some questions for you.
Sure.
All right. Would you rather start with foreign policy, the economy, or healthcare?
Whatever you want.
I'm going to ask you questions because I want to hear your stances. I feel like the supporters who are giving you money, by the way, for those who don't know, grassroots support is the only way that people like Isaiah can run. So it's really tough for a 26-year-old. You're 26, right?
That's right.
It's really tough for a 26-year-old to go out there and beat establishment candidates. So if you do support them or you don't, this is how you get candidates like him elected, or you don't. You beat them in the grassroots.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. So the economy. You're part of the generation that sees households not being able to live the American dream.
Yes.
What is something you would do to fix the housing crisis within America?
For starters, I'll say the American dream is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. And it is because we have not addressed this issue for a very long time, no matter the political persuasion. So personally, I believe that we, one, need to build more housing than ever before. We do that with investment tax credits, particularly for those that do develop these things. We also got to go forward and crack down on corporations that are buying up homes inside of our neighborhoods. We're seeing this quite a bit. These big venture capital firms are going up and buying all. Of course. We also want to make sure that for those that are renting, we want to crack down on price fixing, particularly for these big corporations that are effectively using software to communicate with each other to price fix. We want to crack down on that to make sure that the market is more competitive. We also want to go forward and work with our cities to get rid of the ridiculous zoning laws that we have that prohibit things like mixed-use developments, which are which are grocery stores with like apartments on top. And parking minimums and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff that we can do. But I believe if we could go all in, we go really focus on building a lot more housing than we ever have before, we can drive down prices effectively.
If you were to win your election, or when you win your election, what is a piece of legislation that you would be happy to either carry, propose, sign on to? What's a piece of legislation that you feel as if you've seen in the past or something that you have come up with on your campaign trail that you would like to see done specifically towards either the rezoning, the mixed use, stuff like that?
Well, there's definitely a YIMBY caucus that I'm definitely look forward to being a proud supporter of. But, there's been some talks, I know, with my friends from the Center for New Liberalism, which is a component of the old PPI, which used to be Bill Clinton's whole operation, is that we want to give cities a lot more dollars to fix their permitting process. It's outdated, it takes a really long time. We want to be able to find more ways to get more federal dollars to them to go and modernize their systems. So it's a good thing that we can do to improve local government so we can get started on really churning out and start building a lot more housing.
Okay, cool. So now kind of to pivot towards more of the side of, job creation. Obviously, President Donald Trump has been big on saying that he is going to bring factories back to America via tariffs, via stricter trade policies. Do you think, I'm going to guess that you do not agree with the president on his current policies, but do you think there's anything that he is currently implementing that maybe could be retooled in a way to be more effective? And would you support targeted tariffs on certain industries?
I mean, it depends on the way or what specifically, but and overall, no, I don't believe that his tariff strategy is something that is effective. It's something that hurts our economy writ large. I think that the way that you build manufacturing is understanding what kind of jobs we want. I'm not really interested in building more toasters in America or assembling shoes here in this country. We're passing that on because we want to focus more on high wage, high growth jobs that are going to be important for the future. So I'm going to be talking about how we get more jobs in energy production, how we're going to be building more jobs in nuclear energy, how we're going to be doing more stuff, particularly for microchip manufacturing, quantum computing, and AI. That's how we can really change the tide on a lot of these things and make sure that we're creating things that are going to be adept for the future. So I'm not really for trying to go get those old jobs we lost back in the 1940s that in today's economy are not paying people what they need to be paid. We can create good quality, high-paying jobs. We stay focused on the industries of the future and leading that involved.
Okay, awesome. So when you do have these types, you talked a little bit about different energy sources and stuff like that. Do you believe that targeting the main focus of the Democrat Party is green energy? Do you believe that they are putting too much emphasis on solar, wind, and not enough on nuclear energy, which has obviously been a very tumultuous point amongst U.S. citizens? How would you bridge that gap with the United States citizenry and also getting nuclear power back involved within the energy grid in a more significant manner?
No, I don't. I believe that we can do all of them at the same time, and I think that it is short-sighted, I think, to put partisan lenses on the direction of energy. I think that we should be going big on this no matter what party you support, because I think that, frankly, we got to do all of it because we're going to need a lot of energy coming forward. AI, quantum computing, all that stuff takes a whole lot of different energy, and we're going to be having to use a lot of different ways. So, yes, that means making sure that nuclear is there, but it's also making sure that we're pioneering in hydrogen, also making sure that we're pioneering in solar and wind and other things, making sure that oil and gas is still available and cheap. I think that we can do all of these things, but it starts with bringing everybody together, figuring out the needs of which, and making sure that we're creating targeted incentives so we can all go forward and build forward to the future.
Okay. So one big point amongst the Democrat Party has always been that the federal minimum wage is too low. Do you agree with that point?
Yes.
If you were to see a federal minimum wage increase, what do you believe that increase should be? And would it be a staggered approach? Would it be a yearly constant, inflation, match it with inflation? Or would you just cap it one time and maybe revisit it a decade later?
I would start with $15 an hour staggered, but then once it gets to $15 an hour, I would adjust it with the cost of living per each state. And I think that it needs to be something that is adjusted every single year with the cost of living, because I don't think that it should take an act of Congress to address that.
Okay, now to pivot a little bit on that issue. So obviously there are current conflicts all around the world. We see them from the almost India-Pakistan conflict. We see it obviously with the Israel-Palestinian conflict. We're seeing these all over the place. So, one, do you think that we are approaching with the current administration, do you think we are approaching these conflicts inappropriately? And if so, what would you recommend that the policy be moving forward?
Well, I think that all Trump is doing is warmongering. So I think that his approach in the Middle East is warmongering when he talks about staying there effectively for 20 years. I think that his approach with Russia and Ukraine is faulty because he's been spouting out disinformation and nothing really is happening other than him going and tweeting in all caps, Vladimir, please stop. Right. So ultimately, I don't think that those things are successful. I don't think that he's anti-war. You look at what happened with India and Pakistan. I mean, all these countries are calling him out for lying. He's claiming he's getting involved and he's not. So I think he's a failure, and he's just made our country weaker every day.
Okay. So obviously, his policy you believe is failing. What is something that you would, as a member of Congress, try to push for to maybe push more towards a peaceful negotiations? Obviously, the Russian-Ukrainian war has been going on for almost 3 years. It'll be 3-4 years now. What would you do to suggest? Like, would you impose more sanctions? Would you want to bring Ukraine into NATO? Obviously, would you strengthen NATO? Those kinds of things.
More sanctions against Russia. I would absolutely give Ukraine more weapons they need because they were beating them so bad. They had to go get Timu soldiers out of North Korea. So I would have absolutely continued to fund them, help make sure that they could beat them down aggressively. And I would have told Vladimir Putin if he wants to end the war, he can get the hell out of Ukraine. Because we're the United States, and I don't think that we should be dictating or worried about what Vladimir Putin says because he can't do anything to us. You know, he's made all these different red lines over the years that he's never even remotely acted on. We got to make sure that we're throwing our weight around. And I believe that we have the biggest stick. Everybody knows that. And we got to make sure that we're supporting and enforcing our agreements, which is the Budapest Memorandum. I think the word of the United States of America means something. And I think that for all of the countries around the world that are protected by us, and for the dictators that want to take over their countries, they need to know that when the United States is in agreement, we mean something. And we will do whatever is necessary to do that.
If the war were to start looking in a bad direction for Ukraine, i.e., Ukraine was almost on the verge of having its entire country taken over, would you support a U.S. involvement of actual boots on ground?
No.
Okay. Now, kind of pivoting to some more U.S. Trade relations. Obviously, with the United States tariffs, 125% was floated around with China. Obviously, that's been brought down to, I want to say, the levels that they were before the trade war initiated. Do you believe that we should be moving more towards a free trade with the rest of the world, where tariffs are a thing of the past? Or do you think that there's still a place for tariffs and brokered trade agreements, i.e., NAFTA and stuff like that?
I think it depends on a case-by-case situation. I do support NAFTA. I think that NAFTA is a good thing, and it results in a lot of growth for the United States. I do believe in free trade mostly with the EU and the United Kingdom. So, I mean, generally I'm a free trade guy. So, I mean, working to get there wherever possible I think is necessary. I think for the C country it's a little bit different because they subsidize the development of products with nationalized production. And I think that is unfair to the market. Therefore, they should be faced with different conditions. But in terms of friendly countries that are capitalistic like ours, I think that we absolutely should have free trade.
Awesome. So obviously, the war on rugs has been going on for the better part of almost 4 decades at this point. That being said, obviously we have issues with border crossings. We have issues with people crossing into the country, as some may say, illegal. That being said, we have some countries that, like El Salvador, that are receiving certain affiliated people who are not of good standing, and they're placing them into harsh conditions of, we've all seen the prison out there. It's pretty harsh conditions. We can all agree there. Do you think that we should be having relations with countries like El Salvador and increasing more of those strict policies, or do you think we should be encouraging more of a centered approach towards these countries?
Look, I mean, the problem with CCOT is that they're ultimately deporting American citizens. They're deporting legal United States residents, and they're denying Supreme Court orders that say that they need to come back. So I think that is definitely something that should not be happening. And if these other countries, whenever Democrats get back in office,
don't want to facilitate the release of these people, then we need to punish them. That includes 100% tariffs. Actually, screw that. 500% tariffs against countries like El Salvador, stripping them of all military support, complete sanctions against them, stripping them of their ambassadors of the United States. So we're going to make sure that we expel their ambassadors, and 100% going and putting a travel embargo on the nation of El Salvador to bar people from the United States from entering the country of El Salvador to cripple their tourism industry. So we can do that very quickly, and I believe have everybody that is wrongfully put into CCOT back inside of the United States within a couple of minutes of that being enacted.
Okay. So obviously you just talked about a U.S. embargo of a outside foreign entity. Would you want to pull back off of any previous embargoes of any previous administrations, i.e. Cuba or Venezuela or countries of that such?
No, not currently.
Okay. Now pivoting, obviously healthcare in America has always been a pretty tumultuous topic. There are some people who say the American healthcare system works exactly how it's designed and that system is broken. Would you agree with that statement? And if you do agree with that statement, what is a major piece of legislation that you'd be willing to sign on to or actually carry yourself within your first term as a United States Congressman?
Guaranteed health care for all Americans, paid for by charging a percentage of one's income, so making it to be a function of one's income that replaces all copays and costs at care and all of everything else. Now, look, if you want to have your private health care plan, you want to pay for that on your own, you can do that on your own. But we're going to have a government plan that is available for people. It is also paid for by having a 25% billionaire minimum tax, by raising the top corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%, and having a property tax on stock portfolios that have gains of over $1 billion a year. So I think that it's something that we can do, and I absolutely would support it. I then would support retroactively wiping out all medical debt in this country that could be refinanced for pennies on the dollar, similar to the way that J.P. Pritzker has done it. We can do it for very cheap compared to a lot of these other things that we've done. And I think once you have the action to remedy the issue that has long existed, we'll have something that is available for people that's easy and simple for them to do as well.
Okay. In that, obviously, that would take a large majority of people to get that accomplished. I think we can both agree there. That being said, is there any smaller pieces of legislation that you could almost brick by brick and get to your where you want to be? Is there anything that you can see, whether it be making pharmaceutical companies they can't advertise anymore or something of that like?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So somebody did say where they can donate to the campaign. You can absolutely click the link inside of our profile or go to IsaiahMartin.org as well. Some things that I would do, I would put a chronic healthcare cap in place. Say that if you're diagnosed with a chronic illness like liver disease or cancer or heart disease or anything like that that is chronic, that we're going to put a cap on how much money you can pay in premiums, a cap on that. I think it's certainly the right thing we can do. I then would go forward and say for those, because we have millions of people in this country that are eligible for free health care but don't actually know they're eligible. So we're going to put a form on everybody's personal income taxes that will personally check to see if one is eligible for any of these things. And if you are, you click that box, you're automatically enrolled. We're going to do that as well. So, and then the other bill that I would support that goes a little bit further than that is automatically enrolling anybody that, once they file their taxes, is eligible for it as well. So, it's a lot of things that we can do to do it brick by brick, but we're going to have to start person by person, one at a time.
Absolutely, that's been a very much major key point of both parties is that the U.S. healthcare system does seem to be broken. Pivoting back to the system ran by the government, obviously your opponents to this would be the Republican Party. Typically, their point that they bring up towards this is the Canadian healthcare system, which, yes, does have a higher favorability rating, but they do point to the longer wait times for simple check-ins and visits, which can sometimes lead to exacerbation of major medical issues. Is that something that you foresee being a problem? How would you change the healthcare system of, say, Canada to make it more effective for its citizenry? Obviously, because that's kind of where you're going.
Well, first off, the wait times in Canada are nowhere near as bad as Republicans like to make it sound, and I would also like to point out that Canada has a longer average life expectancy than the United States, so they must be doing something right to get people healthier there. What I will also say is, um, we've got to be able to look at the direction of where things are going, and they're just simply unattainable. And I'm not saying that our situation is going to be exactly like Canada, because it can't, because our country is fundamentally different. And I think what is very clear here is that people do want a universal healthcare system. They do want something that is guaranteed, that is simple and easy, while also maintaining their choice to do whatever they want. And I think that we've got to do that. You do talk about the idea of wait times, but the problem is that we have wait time issues here. Because sometimes it can take weeks to go see a doctor, especially if you want to go see a specialist. It takes weeks, sometimes months, to go and see a specialist you want, because we have a doctor shortage right now. Because it's too expensive to become a doctor. Trump did a lot of work to go and hurt a lot of the forgiveness programs. I know that because I happen to know a lot of doctors. They talk about this all the time. So we do have issues with that. We have issues with the fact that surgeries take a long time to do. So America is not exempt from the issues of these other countries per se. And so I think that we need to stop, with the propaganda per se, focus more on creating a system that, one, creates an option for you to have a, what's the better word for it, a premiumless, cost of careless system that you can absolutely use for yourself, while also, at the same time, maintaining choice so that if you want to have your own private plan, you can keep that too.
Okay, you did bring up a really good point towards the cost of education in the United States. College tuition has risen at, I want to say it's nearly 10 times the amount that the actual wage that somebody can earn after college will make. What are some things that you would do to lower that cost of tuition or help those who have already paid for expensive programs?
Well, I would say one, say repayment plan needs to be fully reinstated.